he just needs their head coach. Hello and welcome to the Gooners Podcast. Mike, I'm telling you something right now.
Oh, this is
you
actually did that.
I
Wow.
am a professional.
You are. You saw the red light go on and you did it. You know,
you're a genius.
I'm actually not ready to start the pod yet. I need something. I need one more minute to get ready to start this podcast.
God, you know how long he probably took to write that joke that none of us laughed at?
32 years. It is the day, boys. It is the day. Thank you to Stephen Feely from Fees Tees for this outstanding shirt. And as Andy said, welcome to the Gooners Podcast.
Oh, and we'll continue our conversation later on when a child's not around us.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good. Can we play the intro just for OCD?
Was that for OCD purposes, or you needed to take a breath of something, a puff, as it were?
2 minutes long.
R.I.P. Ben. R.I.P. Ben.
I really wish I had time before this because I was thinking about uploading that Mike, you talking over the Toto Africa song. Remember?
I don't remember
that where you're like, follow us on Instagram.
Oh God, yeah. You know, we could never get away with that now because now we get like a copyright violation. Back then, 4 people were listening to us on iTunes, and we could get away with that. But yeah, that is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever done. It is the 26th of May, and so tonight we're going to have a special 89-minute podcast with 89 different former Arsenal players, people who were there that day. I've often said that I wasn't there at Anfield 89, that I was at a pub in St. John's Wood watching the game. But I have to come clean. I was in the house, just I wasn't in the crowd that day. This is a picture of me winning the game for Arsenal in the 92nd minute. Just after the game, it was just an absolute love fest with these guys. I have to say,
the trophy there.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'll never wash that hand again. I mean, there's a reason I don't wash my hands anymore. This is the reason right here. And just a special moment between me and my mates. Just absolutely love this. So Anfield 89, just a day that I'll never forget. 32 years. I don't know where the time has gone, but man, what a day. And what a day today is, because it's the 4 OGs, or just 2 OGs and the other 2 Gs of the Gooners Pod together to talk about the best, most incredible season of the Gooners Podcast that's ever existed.
What episode is this?
For sure.
Episode
300. Episode 4000.
Episode 79, season 5. The season of the podcast has been in direct contrast to the season for Arsenal. So today we're going to do things a little bit differently. I mean, you all know that we beat Brighton. We killed Brighton. We're 5 undefeated. 5 undefeated. I mean, it's incredible. But we're going to do some different stuff today, and no one really knows what we're doing, including us.
Yeah, I still don't know why I'm here. I was literally told to be on this podcast 2 minutes ago. So
who just responded with, "Am I supposed to have a section?"
Yeah, After I was like, "What's been going on?" Hey, I'd be a horrible person if I didn't recognize that Daniel Roberts is in the chat. So Daniel Roberts, let's just get it out of the way.
If you gave him really what he really wanted, you'd be doing the ostrich one. But
okay,
yeah, that's
Bird Leno. I got you, Daniel Roberts.
Daniel actually has that.
My segment is Sharon's Bird Leno picks with Daniel Roberts. Boom, done.
Beautiful, and thank you to Sebi, by the way, aka Sebastian Vrod, for inserting me into the Anfield 89 pictures. That's not the only thing he's inserted me into, but that is the only one I'm willing to admit to.
You're talking about his butt?
All right. Owen, you have a segment that you'd like to do today, huh?
Glad somebody does. Go for it, Owen.
No.
So what are we doing? How is this going to? This is the brainchild of Owen. I hate social media. Young. So,
Yeah, it is. Sorry, I'm a little self-conscious at the minute. This chair isn't the most stable thing in the world. My missus put it together, so if you see me collapsing to the floor, now you understand. No, look, tonight, as was said, Brighton's been covered to absolute death over the past few days, and I think what we're going to do is each of us have been responsible and prepared for this podcast that we had plenty of notice to do. So we've each prepared a segment, and we're going to go through each individual segment. So I'll probably start off with mine first, I think, if that's all right, Mike. So what I'm going to do is some awards. So some of them will be, because I know Andy's segment is a little similar, but some of the awards are regarding the club, and then the other half of the segment is regarding rewards for podcasts. So Arsenal podcasts have been blowing up this season more than ever, I think. So we're going to go around and give out a few accolades to some very deserved recipients, whether that be positive or negative. So we'll kick that. Yeah, mostly negative. And best will be used with a lot of irony within these rewards. So we'll kick it off with, we'll just go in a round robin fashion and go around starting with you, Mike Feinbog, is the most improved player of the season.
I mean, you got to go with Emi Martinez, I think. Or are we just talking about Arsenal?
You sold the wrong keeper, bro. Sold the wrong keeper.
Okay. For Arsenal, the most improved player, you got to go with Pepe. I think that's kind of the obvious answer. I will give honorable mention, though, to Willian, because, I mean, he started off the season absolute dog shit. And by the end of the season, like, he scored in all of his last one game. Like, he's averaging a goal a game at this point. So what better improve? I mean, we don't have anyone else that's averaging a goal a game.
Like that's like
other and plays for us currently.
But that's like almost as impressive as that statistic that, you know, if it were from Christmas, if the league started at Christmas, we'd be second in the league. And it's like,
I don't know that it's that impressive, because that is pretty impressive, that statistic. You're talking about this thing right here?
Right there. Third best, baby.
Well, no, it's actually second, because that was 2 weeks ago. Now we've zoomed past Manchester United.
Sorry, I have to apologize.
Unrelated. I know what my wet wipe is now. Anyway.
I have to apologize to the chat box, but I would rather look at the photograph that we were looking at before this podcast started than look at that table again. It is a blasphemous stuff. But anyway, Mike, who's your most improved player?
Well,
Pepe, Pepe, was it?
Yeah, the real answer is Pepe, and I think there's as much of a gaping gap between second and third place on the league table since Boxing Day as there was in what you were just referring to. And that's all I'm going to say.
Andy,
Willock.
Oh, that's fair. I mean, not with us, but sure.
Do you know how improved he is?
He was told to go out on loan and prove himself, and he did.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough.
Short and sweet. I like that.
Short and sweet. Andy, for those of you that don't know, Andy only has 1 hour, so he's going to keep everything as short and sweet as possible, and then he's just going to magically.
I thought that was the total of his segments. Like, if he does 3 minutes here, 3 minutes there, then we total them all up, and it's an hour.
That's it. And do you want to know what? When we're doing these sort of club awards, when we're doing the awards for players and personnel within the club, we will keep them relatively short and sweet, because I think the podcast awards is going to open up the floor for a bit more discussion. So we'll rattle through them brave and quick. Hertz, your most improved player? That's not fast enough, Hertz. For fuck's sake, hurry up.
He has to translate it from Guatemalan to Mexican
to
AC Milan. He's like, which AC Milan player has done the best this season?
David Calabria. He's our right winger. Fans wanted him sold over the summer, but he's future captain material for Milan. In the same position, ironically, is Callum Chambers, and I was pleasantly surprised. I'll be completely honest. For a long time, I perceived him to be a center back. I know he's played at right back for us a long time, and he was originally a right back when we first bought him. And I personally was kind of in the camp of, hey, let's sell him and move on from him because he's never going to make it into the team. But I guess I didn't give him the benefit of the doubt recovering from the injury. And when he got his opportunity, I've been absolutely pleasantly surprised. So I'm going to go with Chambers.
Callum Chambers, good shout. The only reason I wouldn't have went for him is because before his injury last season, I think he was actually our best defender at the time. So in terms of improvement, I don't know if I'd agree that he's the most improved, but what I will say, my pick for most improved player of the season is Emile Smith-Rowe. You talk about rapid development, man, going from an absolute nobody on the fringes of the squad into one of the most influential players in our team. So short and sweet, I'll go with Emile Smith-Rowe. Going back to you, Feinberg, is goal of the season.
There were a lot of good goals this season, despite how few goals we actually scored. There were some good ones. I mean, I'll pick my pick, and then if you guys don't bring some of the other ones up, I have some honorable mentions. It's going to be Lacazette against Sheffield United. This was a team goal. I called it kind of, Jack Wilshere Norwich light. A lot of tiki-taka, back heels from, or back and forth passing. Ceballos back heeling it to Laka in the box. And a cool finish. It was, to me, I love a good team goal more than I love a screamer. And that was that one. So I'm going to go with Lacazette against Sheffield United, the second time we played them.
Absolute cracker of a goal. Andy?
This is a tough one. I think Willock's goal against Man City was a pretty good one. For Newcastle. So I'm going to stick with my theme here, and I'm going to go with Willock's goal, Newcastle versus Man City.
Yeah, I can see a trend continuing here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like consistency.
He also scored against Spurs. So
yeah, he did. Yeah.
I'll go with the Spurs one.
Okay. Sick. Hurts.
At the end of the day, no. You know what? A feel-good moment of the season, one of the very few that we have, was Boxing Day. And so, 3-1. And I think I like not so much the goal, but what surrounded the goal and the piss take after the game in that shot, the Saka goal, where, it was a cross, right? But then, you could see him just taking the piss, and there was some random Chelsea player all pissed off at him as he was passing by, and he was like, "I saw," even after he gave the interview, he's like, "I saw him off the line," and it was so clear and obvious that he was just taking the piss and having a good laugh, and it was just a cool moment, just seeing the two Arsenal players just piss the Chelsea guy off, and the Chelsea dude just telling him to F off and just walk away. So that beautiful chip, as I'm going to qualify it, from Saka versus Chelsea Boxing Day. That's going to be my my personal goal, best goal of the season. Maybe not so much per quality, but for everything surrounding the goal, I really enjoyed it.
And he meant it, 100%. He meant it. My goal of the season, I'm going to go for Kieran Tierney against West Brom. That game was going absolutely nowhere. And you talk about something we've been lacking for so long, as somebody to grab the game by the scruff of the neck. And I think, especially in around that time frame, he was the person that was either squeezing his straws or winning his game. So Kieran Tierney v West Brom is my goal of the season. We're going to go back in reverse order. So Hurts, going back to you. Character of the season. So this doesn't have to be a player. It can be a member of staff. It can be a pundit connected to the club. It can be anybody in the Arsenal world at all that you think was the biggest character of the season.
That's a good one. Character of the season. I mean, my fellow big hair Brazilian that's retiring from football or retiring from Arsenal is a great character that I like. But I'm going to go again.
Did you say fellow Brazilian? Did you say fellow Brazilian? You're not Brazilian too.
No, I said fellow big hair.
Oh, right.
And then I said Brazilian. Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Aubameyang, and this is mostly because out of all the personalities that put themselves out online, Alba has a tendency of just taking the absolute piss out of everybody when they come to the dressing room, dress fancy, right? He's on Instagram story and they're just like taking the piss out of like Pepe, out of Nelson, out of Saka. Anytime they get dressed like nicely, they have a bag, and he seems to be extremely loved in the locker room, and he's great for the overall morale of the team. So I'm gonna go with Alba and his Instagram story, and I just love hearing him just take the piss out of his teammates in the locker room all the time.
Yeah, he does love the camera, apart from when he's actually required to go on it after losing a game, like a good captain does. Andy, character of the season. I'm gonna guess it's somebody from Newcastle. Steve Bruce.
Yeah, Steve Bruce for giving the legend that is Willock the time of day to play for that team. I had someone different, but I'm going with that.
I'll take the assist on that. Mike, you're back.
I'm back. I've moved down to the basement because my internet was absolute shit down there. So now it's just going to suck from here. Character of the season. This is kind of tough because really I don't feel like we have that many characters at this moment. Raul Sanyehi maybe, just for a complete lack of character. But I guess if you've expanded it to people who are in the media world, I think we can include Tom Canton. That we have to, and I'll give it up to Daniel Robert for dealing with such a bad season, but still finding the desire and the character and the ability to put forth 17 shows in the morning. Exactly. It takes character to do that. It has nothing to do with trying to have a career or anything like that. It's all character. Tom Character Canton is his actual name.
Okay, we get it. It was Tom Canton.
All right.
I'm gonna go for my character of the season. Is Mikel Arteta. Canton, yeah, Tom Canton. No, Mikel Arteta, because although I have my issues with him, I think in terms of he's still very likable as a guy, even for the shit that he's caused and the bad decisions he's made. And I don't know, man. He's like, even though I want him out, I would prefer a change of manager. I still like him, and I still sort of reside a bit of trust within him. I don't know, going in the next season that he can turn it around. So Mikel Arteta is my character of the season.
You'd like to attend an Arsenal game with him, not attend an Arsenal game to watch him coach. You want to actually have him next to you in the stands, right?
Yeah. It's a weird one, man. I don't know. I always say this, but I'm very conflicted around Mikel Arteta. I think that it would be wise to change him at the minute, but I still think, in part, I'm like, well, fair play to the club for trying to stick with him and give him the time. Anyway, the last one before we move into our podcast awards is the biggest cunt of the season award. So again, this could be anybody surrounding the club at all. And I'll start with you, Feinberg. No, don't worry. That's podcast awards are coming up soon, bro.
He still gets it. He still gets it.
No, I got a different one for him. I'm gonna go with Mesut Ozil. Mesut Ozil. Okay, you know what? I'm usually a pretty positive guy. Mesut Ozil, biggest cunt of the season surrounding Arsenal, and I'll tell you what, that is understanding that we're probably all going to say Kroenke if it was nothing, if we had the opportunity. I'm not going to go with the easy answer, which is Stan Kroenke. I'm going to go with Mesut Ozil. My owner. Don't talk about Stan Kroenke, please. He is actually Andy's owner. He actually he owns 60% of Andy. We only collectively through the podcast own 10% of it. But yeah, I'm going with Mesut Ozil because fuck that guy. He cost us the Premier League. He cost us the Champions League, and he cost us everything that we possibly could have had, and some other stuff which I'm not going to say on air. So
he killed my granny. He's such a cunt.
He did.
He did. Yeah.
He's worse than Rick Reed.
Andy.
Guys, if my biggest cunt of the season is easily Joe Willock, because if he had stayed with us, we would be in European football right now. But he took his talents to Newcastle, and that fucked us.
To South Newcastle Beach.
What a dick. What a dick.
Scoring goals for fun. Oh, fuck. I didn't take the bell down with
And
me.
how dare he... How dare he take...
verbally.
He took points away from us, guys.
He did.
Mm-hmm. He did. Can't.
So did Mainsley.
Gianluigi Donnarumma, because he didn't want to sign a contract extension and he's leaving Milan for free. And coming to Arsenal. And no, he's not coming to Arsenal.
There are people in our fan base that think that could happen.
Yeah,
that's not good.
So I'm going to change my vote to they are the biggest cunts.
The people in our fan base who think that's going to happen.
Emi Martinez.
Fuck you.
Love it. Emi Martinez, for a player to spend whatever amount of years, almost a full decade at the club, right? And I don't know if he was this vocal when he was at the club, because he sure as hell let the fucking world know that he didn't get a chance when he was at the club. I mean, away from the club, because like every single time he had an opportunity, it's just, Arsenal and they just didn't give me a chance. Just cry me a river, dude. You were there for over a decade. What happened that nobody noticed you? And so he's a great keeper, and I understand that. I was hoping that we got into the Super League so we could be able to afford him and buy him back, of course, so he could be Leno's bench again. But I'm going to go with him, man. He just like some players just leave the team gratefully, and they're like, hey, man, my time is up. I got to take off. And some they leave and they're just bitching and moaning about all the time. And to add to that, the Aston Villa versus Arsenal game where he clearly fucking took Lacazette down, and Lacazette made a comment kind of like, hey, again, referring to that specific play. He comes back and responds and like, you grabbed me first. No, he fucking didn't. He took him down. It was a penalty. And like, I don't know where like maybe all the hard feelings are there because he didn't get a chance to play. But again, I don't know he was knocking on anybody's door saying, play me, give me a chance, because I don't know how he was this good and never had an opportunity. I don't know. Multiple coaches passed him up, right? And we never had a bid come in. But when he left, dude, he just didn't shut the hell up out of Arsenal. And I just didn't get it. Like you had a big part of the fan base that absolutely loved you. And people that wanted Leno over Martinez, they were still like, he did his time. We're grateful for him. And he just turned around and just consistently bashed the crap out of the club. So,
and do you remember when you and I were standing?
You remember
in LA when you and I were standing behind the goal watching him take shots? Do you remember what he called Aubameyang?
He called him a cunt.
He called him a cunt.
Did he really?
Hold on. Look. I'm selling Aubameyang if I have the chance this summer, but that's for
Aubameyang,
me. That's not for him to do. You call that guy.
The context behind it, though. The context behind it, though, was Aubameyang. Like, this is how great of a keeper he is, guys. Because he's fucking apparently the best fucking goalie the world's ever seen. Because all of our fan base are fucking cunts. Aubameyang in the 18 sold him the wrong way. The ball never left Aubameyang's foot, and Emi Martinez spread out on the floor like a goddamn fucking porpoise. And then Aubameyang laughed. It was like in slow motion. He had time to laugh and then slot it in the direction that Martinez didn't go. And during the dive, Martinez just went, "Oh, you cunt!" And it was funny for the few of us that were there. But even then, we should have been like, "That's just awful goalkeeping." Because I think all Aubameyang did was like this. He just like gave him a quick like.
It's like kind of like what a bird does. Like shoved his beak out there.
Yeah. Well,
there might be a penalty. There might be a penalty in this
What
Europa
was
League
most?
final here.
It's not a watch along. Go over to.
It's a Man United possible penalty, so it's going to be a penalty. All right, next one. Owen, what we got?
Right. No, this is going. Oh, my one was Cage Option, by the way, because he's just a slimy cunt. Anyway, we'll rattle through these podcast awards, boys, because I know my segment's running on here a bit. Okay, so first one, Feinberg is the biggest wet wipe of the year. So this is all in the Arsenal podcasting world. I've got a feeling there's going to be a unanimous decision around this one.
Well, the only question I have is whether Lee Gunner's actually considered part of the Arsenal podcasting world, or if it's more of like the talk sport type of angle. But I'll tell you what, he's not a wet wipe for any of the reasons that you would think that I would say that. It's this thing that he's done in the last couple of months where, look, open mic pods were not my original idea, but about a week or two after we started doing them, he started doing them to greater effect with more people on them, which you would expect from a channel that has 50,000 people on it. The thing that I don't get is repeatedly having 13-year-old kids on the podcast, letting them on, talking to them like half like like he knows they're kids and half like they're adults, and about how their parents can't know that they're watching him. Are you on the toilet taking a shit right now? I mean, it is the creepiest thing. I got videos that I've done about it, but it's the creepiest thing. So when you talk about what a wet wipe is, that's being a wet wipe. And that's
I would actually argue that wet wipe's too much of a compliment, because sometimes like when you have a really bad Indian and things get a little sensitive, a wet wipe can actually yeah Indian.
You didn't clarify that you were talking about food. I'm like, we don't refer to people in that manner.
A wet wipe can be quite soothing. I would say that he's more of a sandpaper type guy. But Andy.
Oh, yeah, it's unanimous.
Yeah. Hurts.
That was a penalty for Villarreal.
He's still making a segment up.
You could say Danny.
And I think I got one. I'm working on the fly. I'm just gonna narrate and give the review of the Manchester United Villarreal game when it comes to my segment, so I'll be good.
You're gonna do your Derek Ray impression?
Yeah. So look, he's not podcasting world, but he's very well known on Twitter, and he's like the ITK. And I don't like these personalities that their whole account is based on them pretending to fucking know something when you clearly don't fucking know something. And
watch it.
Yeah, watch what you're saying, bro. This is a touchy subject.
I'm not talking about Gerbil, am I? So, but I got to take the piss out of him, because I was cracking up at this shit where he's like, we could have had Camavinga and Alot for 60 mil. And there's so many online. Mikey, pick one. And he's like, we could have had him for 60 mil. And you got all these like younger fans that just follow this guy and believes this crap. Eduardo Hong, something like that. Jesus, I don't know how, like, Owen, him alone would keep me off of Twitter. So, I mean, I understand why you boycotted the damn thing, but he has such a following. I don't get it. He throws shit out there that are like completely non-realistic at all, and people are like, see, Arsenal should have done that for 60. That's a deal. Well, it's because it's a deal because it can't fucking happen. Camavinga is moving for PSG for possibly 100 million right now.
Bernabeu's on fire. That's a fast answer, Mike. I gotta keep it short and sweet and say that I don't
have no segment. I'm trying to waste time.
Yeah, good man. I'm trying to wrap it up so that you're fucking left on your ass. Yeah, right. Next one. Nice and quick. Most consistently inconsistent. Mike.
Who goes? I mean, who could you? Yeah, who most consistently inconsistent? Who else could you say? I mean, we got somebody on this podcast who's the Tuesday Club of hosts. He just puts out content whenever he wants. But one time I was potting with James Bench, and he had a tight hour, and we were like 58 minutes into the hour. It might have even been like 2 minutes over, and we were finishing up. All of a sudden, dude just rolls into the podcast to say hi to his buddy. And he's like, "Oh, hey, James, how you been? What's going on? What's new?" And the most consistently inconsistent award goes to my life partner, Belanda Willock. Andy Rhodes.
Thank you. I'll take it. It's accurate.
I thought you'd like an award. I mean,
I appreciate it. It's nice to be. It's nice to be thought about. I'm gonna go with Leif. He's great, but Jesus Christ, let someone else talk for a goddamn minute. He was consistently rambling on inconsistently about 5 different topics at once.
It was hilarious. It was great. And like, if you've ever watched a podcast where there's 4 people on it and 3 of them are like, which is the universal line of like, I'm about to jump in if there's like a second to jump in. Like all 3 of us were like, and he kept going and going and going because he had about 15 minutes to talk about some very important things and then go off on tangents. But I mean, we need to make that a regular occurrence because
he's awesome. Like I did,
I
did 15 questions out for him, and I had to not ask 14 of them, which was good. But Hertz.
I'm gonna stay. I'm sorry, Danny got me in stitches in the chat room. I'm gonna go with Pepe because for the grand majority, apart from the last 6-7 games, yeah. Well, apart from the last
does Pepe have a podcast?
Does he have a podcast?
these are podcast awards.
You did the podcast award thing. I'm sorry. I thought we were still talking about just.
Hurts. It's one thing to be unprofessional and turn up without a segment, but to not pay attention to other people's is just right.
The amount of shit he gives me in our WhatsApp group about loving my family more than the podcast, and then here he is.
What kind of crap
Here he is, fucking doesn't have a segment, doesn't know what the fuck's going on in this segment.
Okay, so Hertz, Pepe is your most inconsistent podcaster. I'm going to throw out sorry, I got to say Tractor. I'm going to throw out a man that we love that is on screen now, and that is Danny the JFP. Because Danny, if one thing over the years has been absolutely consistent, you know exactly when he's popping up, when his shows are on, and whether it's down to him deciding to do it or whether it's his own little group of people who I know drives him mental at times through their availability. Danny's consistency has spiraled. Now, I don't even know if Danny does podcasts no more.
you only have to ask him for like a 10-minute explanation of why and what's happening there. I mean, he loves nothing more than talking about how shit all of his co-podcasters are at helping him put out consistent products. So.
Right, lads.
But it's one of those things that when it's out there, you gotta watch it because it's always good. That part is consistent. It's never shit. It's just not always on.
It's awesome. It is. It's probably the top of my highest recommended. Anyway, going on to something with a bit more humor in it, lads. The best and best is in air quotes. The best Wi-Fi connection of the season. I'm coming up late.
I'm coming up real late in this with a real chance to win these last.
You are, and I'm going to throw some out from our own experiences on the podcast. Some honorable mentions, and that's Kenny Ken, of course, with a fantastic Wi-Fi connection. I think he's still using dial-up internet. And then
he connected to us. He connects to our podcast through CompuServe. I think or Prodigy.
And then we have James. What do you call it? Jesus James? What's his second name?
James Johnstone.
James
LL
Johnstone.
Cool James.
LL Cool James. Exactly. Absolute fantastic Wi-Fi connection. And then a surprising entry, in my opinion, as well. Elliot.
Yes, I thought that one shocks me. And it's been better lately because I mean the man could have his own server farm in his house if he wanted to. So why was there that one pod we did with him where his internet connection was absolute dog shit? I mean, it makes no sense. But
I might actually fall into this one myself. But Mike, go ahead.
I was going to say. Vote would be for. Sorry, I'm gonna go because my vote was for Owen. Like 2 weeks ago when he had no Wi-Fi, and then so he drove his car around Northern Ireland, and it just got worse.
He literally
and then he just gave
all
up.
the way around. No, there was one point. I was listening back to that pod because I was doing a bit of editing of clips and stuff, and I was listening back to that pod, and I think we had Jason Davies on that day, and Davies is talking about something Owen, I don't know if this was like you being funny or whether this was just the internet, but you jump in there, attack hers for something that we were talking about 25 minutes earlier, and like it didn't strike my fancy at the time as being funny because I didn't really get it, but like watching it back, like you just like came like out of like a bat out of hell about something that we had been finished talking about for like half an hour.
If there's one thing that I've learned through podcasts is that you never hold back and you never be polite and wait for an opportunity. You just fucking jump in. And Dublin Gooner puts best Wi-Fi in his car. What do you call it? I actually did go and scale a 5G mast. That's how dedicated I am. And now I haven't been putting on weight since then. I've just slowly been growing more and more tumors. And now that
good news is you have 9 penises at this point. So.
Exactly. Yeah. Hurts.
Only 3 of them work, but that's neither here nor there.
So for those of you who don't know, I'm actually
can't.
I thought Joe Willock. He has horrible. No. So I'm a big fan of Kenny Ken. He makes a lot of appearances in different podcasts, and our good friend Mikey, Magic Mike over here, knows that I'm a big fan of Kenny Ken. So Boxing Day is also my birthday, and so Mike was like, "Hey, just had a surprise for Mike. I'm gonna get Kenny Ken on the pod, so I could chat with Kenny." I chatted with Kenny a solid 40% of that pod, and then the other 60% was a blur of wonderful Kenny Ken, which is an awesome human being. And,
Magic Mike just makes people's dreams come true. That's what I'm a dream maker.
Magic? You're almost like magic, maybe? Yeah, absolutely. So I'm gonna go with Kenny Ken.
Right, so I think that we can all bundle together and say that the winner of the best Wi-Fi connection 2021 goes to Kenny Ken.
Oh, I don't know. I got an interesting. I got one that might be pretty close. It's kind of out a little off the beaten path, but Trevor Hillsey, Fergus's friend, does the Guns and Yellow Ribbons with Fergus. I've been on with them. They were on with us together once, and his internet is fine, except it has a literal 15-second delay. And when I say 15 seconds, I'm not just saying like a number to make it seem like it's long. It's 15 seconds. So when we throw the conversation in, it's like, so Trev, what did you think about that second goal on Sunday? And then we just sit there and we're like,
1 Mississippi, 2
yeah,
Mississippi.
exactly. How do you know what Mississippi is? But like, yeah, we all just hang for like 10 or 15 seconds and wait for him to start. Like one time I actually started my watch and put it up to the thing. There's nothing more frustrating than a good internet connection with a solid exact like a 10 or 15 second delay.
Here, Mike, how do you circumcise someone from Mississippi? Kick his sister in the jaw.
Well, no, I was going to say you don't need to worry about that because there's literally no Jews in Mississippi. So.
Exactly, that's why the joke's funny. Anyway, going on to the next one.
How many of these are there? Jesus Christ!
There's 3 more. We're gonna.
Isn't it me that normally does this?
Yeah, we're gonna rattle through these very, very quickly, okay? Because the last two are we? The last two, I know, Hurts. Keep your answers short. The last 2 are serious. This is the last funny one. Best special effects. I'm gonna throw. I think there's one clear winner here, and I think we can all agree on this.
There's only one person that uses special effects.
You just created this category so that you'd have an opportunity to bring up Tom Canton.
No. Well,
hey,
yes.
I spent a lot of fucking time on our intro video.
No, well, I've got an honourable mention because Harry Simu did toy with green screens for a while, but it was
Sorry. Okay.
But anyway, yeah, special effects goes to Canton for his brand new green screen that we know he's super proud of. And these are the serious ones now, okay? So we'll start with you, Mike. The best newcomer. So that can be a new podcast or someone who has appeared for the first time on our podcast.
I'm gonna first of all, I have to put this up. Yeah, I know Mikey's expecting me to say this. Look, the easy answers would be Mike and Owen because you guys have been revelations to us, but I'm going to go outside the podcast family and give that one to Aston Mack.
Let's leave Owen because this is BS.
Yeah,
Aston is someone who's Aston is someone who's you add yourself back in. I'm not doing it. Aston's a guy who's become a very close friend of mine. We had him on the podcast for kind of because of this public interest angle that started with him getting noticed for wearing an Arsenal jersey at a George Floyd rally in Orlando, which got him some notoriety, got him on some Arsenal related media, but just from that point on have become really good friends with him. And when I tell you that his appearances on our podcast have gotten other podcasts asking me, like they think I'm his agent or something like that. They're like, you got to put me in touch with Alan Aston. We got to have him on today. Just a couple hours ago, he was on with on the Highbury squad for Kev Campbell's kind of tribute show for the year. And so that guy can talk. He keeps his cool. He's got great opinions. He's a really cool guy who I've been fortunate enough to meet in person. And so I don't know if he has plans or aspersions to do more podcasting other than just being a guest. But if he does, he'd be great at it.
Well, that's our plan for the future, isn't it? We've sort of brainstormed the idea that literally anybody that appears on the open mic show will be hosting the Gooners podcast next season. Yeah.
Well, that end they didn't read the small print on the StreamYard thing. When they enter the thing, they basically have signed over the rights to themselves to us. So Daniel Robert, don't even think about it. We own your goddamn ass. All right.
Mikey is the Mina Raiola of podcasting agents is what he is.
I'm building a goddamn empire.
I was going to say as well, the fact that he didn't include us two, hurts. I was going to say that me and you should go and start our own podcast, but that hasn't really worked out well for either of us.
I gave you the props. But, we're not supposed to be complimenting our own. We're supposed to be, talking about others. So.
Owen, I'll say you say me. Okay?
Yeah, okay.
You should have worked that out pre-show.
Andy,
not that you pay any attention to...
I was about to say, my vote's going to go for Pepe because like his first touch, his podcast is not existent.
Pepe Mac.
Pepe, yeah, fair play.
Aston's brother Pepe. Actually, it would be Mike Hurd's brother Pepe more than likely, but Pepe Hernandez.
Mike, that shouldn't be funny, but
it's not. It's not. I'm laughing at something else. I said that, but then I was
something
laughing
off camera.
Something completely else. Yeah, that's what I would never laugh at that.
Hurts.
Owen.
There's this button here saying having issues, and I don't know if it means like issues with StreamYard or just Mike. So, like if I click.
If you click this, I become instantly normal. It's a weird thing that they've worked out. But.
We nearly had another water spray.
So new podcasters that kind of hit the ground running. I say that I thought he was brilliant. I think the first podcast he was on was Highbury Squad, and that is actually LL Cool James. And every time I hear this,
he's on his own podcast. He's got his own podcast.
Does he?
Purely,
purely. If you know it, plug it. That guy is absolutely brilliant. Really loves
FP Arsenal, purely Arsenal. He's on that podcast. But
I wonder what they talk about there. And then. I got to do a
bunch of different shit. Bunch of different things.
You only get to pick one.
But you're right. He is fantastic, James. We're going to have him on a lot more.
Okay, just one. My good friend Kelly. I love him. Bye.
He is great. Fuck you. I'm actually going to pick someone, and I know this might seem like I'm just picking my buddies here, but not you, Hurts. I'm going to pick Jared Carver. I know that Jared doesn't have his own podcast, and he only podcast semi-regular, but man, that guy kills at every podcast I'm on. Like, he's so knowledgeable. The way that he articulates his point of views is fucking absolutely fantastic. I'm actually so surprised that more people don't have him on, because he's just, I think, like the perfect guest to have on a podcast.
But he's not available during podcasting hours normally, so that's the.
Well, every time I ask him, he makes himself available for me. Okay, and that's why I'm.
He's not available for you, Mike.
And it's nothing to do with the fact that I wanted an invite to his wedding, which yeah. Anyway, yeah, my newcomer is Jared Carver. Going on, lastly, lads, to the best podcaster of the year.
Did we get Andy's answer? Was it Willow?
Joe Willock and Mike's is Pepe. Yeah.
No,
so
it's
just
mine
me
is
and you.
Pepe.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
So Feinberg. And this is a serious one now, like a semi-serious one. Oh, there we go. That's you're like Trevor with the delay.
Where's Jared's real picture, Mike?
I actually thought I thought that was going to be the picture of him when he was a spokesman for Subway. So I actually missed that, but look up Jared Subway and you'll get to see more about Jared's
extracurricular activities.
Exactly.
Yeah, Feinberg, best podcaster of the year.
I'm going to go serious on this, and I'm going to say Sophie. I don't think it's a secret that Sophie and I have quite a good friendship and relationship podcasting wise. She's basically doing everything that I would love to be doing with this podcast if we had the ability to do it every single day, and we just don't. I mean, that we're four wild and crazy and busy guys, but you have to be like over 45 to know what that's from. But she's just put so much effort into the Highbury squad this season. She's basically gotten Kev Campbell to buy in. I mean, Kev Campbell's appearance on that podcast is not the reason that they're getting hundreds and in some cases over 1,000 people watching the show at the same time. It helps that he's there and he's fantastic on it, but he's there because of what Sophie's done with that channel. So I just want to give a shout out to her. We're going to be doing a lot of collaborative work with them in the future. And I mean, she's since the beginning of the lockdown when she started doing podcasts every single day, she's been fantastic. So no jokes here, just love for Soph.
Yeah, and well-deserved love at that. Andy.
Nick agrees.
I'm just waiting for what this is going to be. Come on, this is not going to.
No, listen, for the last probably year and a half, Mike and I have been like, hey, we need to add people to the show. And it's been really hard for us to find that personality. So my vote's going to go to Owen because not only did he jump at the chance to join us, it was like a seamless transition. And then my world got completely crazy with all of the diseases I had and the divorce and whatever else you guys told everyone I was going through, malaria, all that. And he just jumped in and like was really supposed to take his own segment and show and just basically slotted in for me. And, we joke, but it's appreciated, brother. And I thank you for that. And so my vote's going to go for you.
Oh,
that's a great point. That's a great point because all the things that I wanted to be able to do and enjoyed doing on the podcast this season would have been much, much harder if I was going solo. And there was that time period. That was that time period from like December to, right up until the time that Mike joined us full time, where like pods probably wouldn't have happened if Owen wasn't around. And those were the best days of my life.
And I do want to know what
another over because Andy's back.
And it was so emotional, but I'm so thankful as well that you never shared the initiation video I had to send you guys with the giraffe and the dog, and I really appreciate it.
How you found a giraffe in 10 minutes is just beyond me. Like,
there's not many in Ireland.
That video had to have been pre-made.
Everything I had heard about perineal tearing was just blown out the window when I saw that video. I mean, I thought I knew about it until I saw your video.
No, but genuinely, again, I know we're not going to get all touchy-feely and serious in this, but the podcasting, like right before I started coming on this, I was like really considering just giving up podcasting. It wasn't really overly fun, and it was just a little stressful, and you boys put the fun back into it. So the thanks is all mine.
It's funny because that's the exact reason that Andy left at the same exact time. It's like he's like, there's no more fun left in this. I'm going to go and God, I'm watching this. I have to say, I'm watching this shootout, and I'm about 30 seconds behind the chat, so I'm trying not to look in the chat. But this is ridiculous. That this is what's at stake right here. This is almost like the game at Wembley with the promotion from the championship. With how much is at stake in this penalty shootout, it's ridiculous. And as much as I want to slap Unai Emery, I really, really hope they win.
Yeah, the Europe's for morons anyway. Podcaster of the year, Hurts, and you're not allowed to vote for yourself.
Shit. I'm really trying to plug my own pod about 15 times in this whole round. So you're really making
Would that be the Not Another Arsenal podcast on Twitter
Thank
and
you.
YouTube?
There you go.
Mike, is it?
Look, there's one out of all the podcasts. I and you guys know, everybody knows in the chat that I listen to a ton of podcasts, like all of them. I'm deep into this shit. But there's one person I listen to every single freaking day, and that's Tommy Boy. So the dedication that he has, Mike and I, we've spoken about this before, where like even after like just soul crushing defeats, this guy will still turn on that camera and still do a show. And I don't know how he does it, because sometimes it takes me a few days to calm myself down. So the dude has a massive amount of hustle. He works like crazy. He started doing the transfers. So now he started even earlier shows. So when he airs at 8 a.m. over there, it's midnight for me. I wake up 2 hours later, and the first thing I do is listen to him on the way to work. So dude has amazing work ethic. He's really putting in time, and he's putting a lot of effort into his pod that's been growing massively as of late. And so I'm going to go with Tom Canton. Okay, Tom, I said it. Please invite me to your wedding. Okay, go.
You could just ask him to go on his pod. You don't have to kiss his ass this much.
Yeah, you're a member. Like he.
Well, I was told that by getting on this pod, I was on.
Yeah. We're supposed to be the theater podcast for him.
This is just
like his podcast is a theater podcast.
This is La Liga, and if I'm lucky, I'll go to the EPL with Tom.
But will you adjust though? I mean, will you have adjustment issues like so many people do?
Yeah, it's going to take same adjustment issues as Willian for sure.
I tell you, you're spot on, because I had his name down too, but I've got a second pick that I'm going to put out there as well, which is a bit left field. But you're right, man. Like even though we take the piss and joke, and we have the contractual obligation to drop his name in at least 3 times every podcast, but he, over everybody that I watch, I think is probably the most consistent, level-headed and knowledgeable person on the platform, I think. And not only that, like I watch a lot of podcasts and people do solo podcasts. Canton, above anybody else, can do those shows on his own and make them interesting every time, with nothing but the fucking live chat to put him along. So yeah, he would probably be my number 1 pick, but I'm going to throw out a bit of a left.
To be fair, I used to be able to do the same thing when I was 22. So wait, if he could still be doing that in his mid 40s, then I got something.
Don't lie, Mike. When you were 22, cameras didn't exist, internet didn't exist. Everything was black and white. Stop it.
I've got a left field one here that I'm going to put in for my one before we move on to it'll be the end of my 20-minute hour segment. But it's I don't know his second name. Okay, but I don't like the platform. I'll be open and honest about that. I don't really like them very much. I like some people that are on them. I'd be friendly with quite a few people that is on the platform, but as a whole, I'm not overly fond of them. But James from AFTV, the whatever his name. I apologize for not knowing the second name. The young kid, he does his from AFTV, isn't it?
No, his last name is Goldstein. If you don't know what it is, it's just always got to be Goldstein. It's like Bakayo Goldstein.
Yeah.
James Goldstein.
He's brought something different to them, I think, because he's so different to anybody else on the platform, and he's very good at breaking down games tactically and articulates and relays the messages in a really good way. So he's quite good. Right, that's the end of my segment. Thanks very much.
This is absolutely ridiculous. I'm turning the chat off, by the way. I mean, as far as my ability to see it, because this shootout is absolutely ridiculous.
Andy, we're going to fire through this because I truly only have 8 minutes, and I know Mike's segment is going to take about 45. All right, so these are true one-word answers, guys. We're going to get through mine in as short as possible. Your Arsenal player of the season. Mike, go.
Emmy. No, ESR. My player of the season.
Hers.
Saka.
Ian.
Pepe.
And I'm going to go with Leno because y'all are fucking stupid. All right. Okay. Aside from Willian and Louise, right? Who's another player in our squad that you want to have sold this summer? I'll go first, and I'm going to say Xhaka.
Really? Wow. Coming from you. Is that because you care about Xhaka or you care about Arsenal?
One-word answers, Mike. Owen.
I didn't. That wasn't even an answer.
Aubameyang.
Okay,
Hers.
Okay, the Bundesliga bastards at the beginning of the season first, and then after them, I would say
That's not one word, man. That's the Mexican.
Okay, I used them all up, so you don't get to answer. You don't get to get my answer then, because I already answered. Bellerin. Bellerin.
Mike.
Oh, Bellerin's a good shout. Aubameyang.
So, assuming Aubameyang is still here next season, would you keep him as captain and keep the feng shui of the locker room? And if yes or no, and then if it's a no, who do you Villarreal just won?
Yes.
Who do you replace him as captain? Mike.
Kieran Tierney. Come on.
Okay, hers
or Guendouzi. I literally said Guendouzi should be our captain less than 18 months ago.
No. I like goalkeepers, so I'm gonna go with Leno, assuming he's gonna stick around.
Owen.
Well, then we can sell him.
No, and Tierney.
Okay, I'm gonna say for me, I'm gonna go with probably Tierney as well. All right, we just need a position. What do you believe our most needed position is this
reverse
summer?
Cowgirl?
Yeah,
I'm gonna go first. I'm gonna say central midfielder.
It has to be Doggy.
Central midfielder.
Owen.
Center attack and midfield.
Mikey.
Right back.
Central midfielder. Oh, I'm sorry.
Right back.
Central midfielder for Feinberg.
Fine.
All right.
I thought he was talking about me with Mikey because he would never sink to the level of calling me Magic. He just won't do it. It's not in his locker.
Let's fast forward now. We are in September 1. Okay. How much in pounds do you predict that Arsenal will spend this summer? So just give me a number. And I'm actually going to keep these. I'm going to put these on paper so that we're going to come back and revisit them. All right. So Feinberg, what do you think? No. Just how much we're going to spend. I don't care about net. Just like what we're going to dish out on players.
I have both. 120 million gross, 50 million net.
Okay.
You're bullshitting.
Hers.
150.
Okay. Owen.
135.
He's really writing this down.
I am. I'm going to go with 30.
Okay.
30 total spent. Like we might sell 100, but you're still saying we're only going to buy 30.
Yeah,
we're gonna end up with 80 million in the bank after this. Is what he's
saying. I cannot believe how many. Unai Emery's won like 91 Europa Leagues, and the one time he fucking was coaching us, he couldn't win.
I know.
What is
right?
up with that?
All right, so
I want him gone.
I want your prediction for where we finish next season in the table. And then if you think we're going to win a cup or two, throw those in there too. So I think we're going to finish 9th, and we're going to be cupless.
I'm going to say 6th and cupless.
Hers.
5th with a cup. We're gonna win the Mickey Mouse Cup. Yeah, EFL Cup. It's coming home, baby.
That's cities.
Yeah. Hey. Unai didn't win with us, Mikey, because our players are a bunch of see you next Tuesdays. That's why he lost that final with us.
Magic Mike, let's hear it.
Oh shit, he did it.
4th in the Premiership.
You're an asshole.
Ooh. We're gonna lose in the League Cup round 2.
I don't want to know what we're gonna lose. Just tell me if we're gonna win a cup.
To Sutton United, and then we're gonna lose in the FA Cup semifinal, also to Sutton United.
Oh God. All right, so cupless. Okay, and then the last question, and this will be another one I'm going to write down. It's simply yes or no. Will Arteta be our manager at the end of May next season?
I'll start. Okay.
Mike.
Yes, but that doesn't mean we'll be any good.
Birds.
Yes, and we'll be seeing some improvement.
Owen.
No.
And I'm going to go no as well. Okay, that's the end of my segment. See how that's done, Owen? Just fucking...
I know, but you talk, man.
Owen, I don't know why you didn't tell us to give us short answers.
For fuck's sake. You can hang around, Andy. let's go on to Hertz. Have you thought of a segment yet? No.
I mean, I can just because I'm new to the podcast.
It's going to be called Tom Canton. How I love him.
How do I love thee?
So
A little bit. Our Feinberg, yours is prepared already, is it?
I have a list of words with double R's, and I want everybody to pronounce with me. If you guys just humor me on this one, because you guys know I'm very new to the podcasting world. I only started last September, which is hashtag season 1 for NAP, and just when you guys were starting off on podcasting, like, who's the guy that was there, like your go-to? Like, feel free to mention like 1, 2, 3 guys if you want. You elaborate as much as you want to. Oh, and you want to give it a start?
As far as like listeners, or
let me rephrase that. As far as helping you get off the floor, guiding you, just entry point, making it a whole lot easier.
Mine was, but yeah, we've covered a lot already. But Canton, he gave me my first time on a show, and then Mike has tried to steal all the credit sense. No, but genuinely, it was the entire TGT WhatsApp group. The 2 boys were in there: Drew, John, all of them boys.
We should have Gooners versus Cancer give away a spot in that TGT WhatsApp group as part of for like a fundraiser, and see how much people would be willing to pay to be in that fucking chat. It's just a barrel of laughs, that thing.
Andy?
It's easily Danny. He basically gave Mike and I all the advice, not only on how to pod, what to look for, what not to do, what to do, and he's basically held our hands pretty much even today. So, yeah.
I would have nothing to add to that, except he did try to keep us from changing the name. We asked 2 people for their opinion when we were together in Denver in 2019, was it? And we were like, should we, why does no one listen to us? We need to, maybe it's the in the USA part of our podcast name. And so we were like, let's focus group this a little bit. Let's ask,
number 1, number 2.
Let's ask a 22-year-old and a 72-year-old what they would do in our situation. And both of them were like, don't change it. You have a brand. And I'm like, yeah, well, we have a brand that sucks. We still have a brand that sucks. But so we didn't listen to Danny then. But honestly, yeah, we wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for Danny. I mean, we would have flamed out after 20 things saying, why is no one listening to us? Oh, yeah, because we don't know shit and we suck. But Danny, on one October day in 2016, found our pod, listened to it, talked about it on his podcast. People tuned in. We started getting some of the loyal ABW listeners becoming our regulars in chat, and it all grew from there. So Danny is, as I've said on the recent pods that we've done, our podfather. So
amazing
for
stuff.
sure.
Yeah, Danny the
and
GFP,
yours.
Danny the GFP, of course. He of course he's the one that
can't say any of us. You can't say any of us. So you have to pick someone else.
Oh, don't worry, I won't.
That's exactly what I was going for.
Yeah, Danny the GFP helped me with technical things, video. He went on StreamYard and he was kind enough to kind of walk me through it, set me up with the software. Sophie from Highbury Squad was more than welcoming when I approached her and asked her about different ways to host and ask for advice. So Sophie, Dan, the wonderful Chris Carpenter, Pirate, believe it or not, Pirate. That's why he hasn't been on Burkent Wonderland. He wanted to work for NAP, and so he ditched Danny. And I got to get that in. But yeah, he also reached out to me and welcomed me and said the first thing he said was, "If you ever need me on the pod to help you promote, I'll be on." Same with Andrew Thompson, and I mean they're all awesome human beings, and of course Tom Canton that gave me my debut. And fun fact, if you guys say my debut, if you guys say Tom Canton 5 times and like 3 times in a mirror while podcasting, he'll appear on the pod. Actually, a little fun fact there. So massive thank you. It was a fun first season for that little podcast of mine. So, and then I met you fucking people. When did you first start? Like, when did you find out about our podcast, and how did you find out about it? Because I mean, we met 3 years ago, so you've been watching for a long time and listening.
I think he's one of our first listeners. Like I legit believe he was one of the
so
first
many of those people that used to listen to us in year
But no,
one
he
and
was
year
one of the
two,
first
like-
people that we were like, oh, he keeps coming back.
Right.
Him and
Right.
like
right.
every
Tons of
show
people
we're
listen to
like-
us once.
Yeah. You know what's funny is that I was curious because Mike had mentioned you guys' old videos. So I backtrack all the way up. And you guys had a different logo, right? It had like a microphone or something. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I remember that logo. That's what that shit used to look like. Because I had completely forgotten what it looked like. But essentially,
that's what my wife says about my penis.
I love that. I was trying to look for hashtag content, and I found the Gooner Talk. But at that point in time, it was Craig before he handed up to Tom, and then recommended started showing up. So first the Gooner Talk, then Burke and Wonderland. Then I stumbled onto you two fellas, and I'm listening to you guys, and I'm like, oh, I like this because just the banter that you guys had, right? I'm way more driven by just topical stuff, just like banter versus breakdown tactically. That's the one. Yeah. So I'm not very big into tactics, and you guys took a way more casual approach. And so I just started interacting. You guys were asking
What I'm trying to say is I prefer podcasts where the hosts don't know anything about football.
Exactly.
And try to cover it up with all this other shit.
Because I don't know, so it makes me feel good that there's other people that don't know shit. Yeah, but one thing, just because I was trying to test the waters onto like how much stupid things I could ask them, because you guys were, hashtag user questions, like ask anything, and I would ask questions, and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna ask, hey guys, it burns when I pee. What's going on?
That's the type of user question that we were shooting for.
There's no two better men on the platform to ask that question to.
Yeah.
And then, as they all know, I was listening to the podcast when it happened, and then 9 months later, our daughter was born. It happened, Mikey, and I knew that was gonna fucking kill you. So here we are. So.
And the it he's talking about is the loss of virginity. What are the odds that the first time you actually have sex with your wife, you have 46, whatever twins are, but 46 of them come out instead of just two?
It's amazing. She's a real go-getter, my wife. She's a real go-getter.
She's gonna go and get you and tell you to stop podcasting pretty soon. But no, that's very nice. That was a pretty good segment, I have to say. So the last segment is going to be a retrospective of this season's guest. I mean, look, we've done 262 shows over 5 seasons with 117 different guests, and I even have like a spreadsheet here. We've got 36 of our guests have been like our mates who we didn't meet from podcasting, although a lot of them do a fair bit of podcasting or editing, but that isn't how we met them. 29 TV or radio presenters, announcers, pundits, top Arsenal or football journalists. I mean, you never know it by listening to this content today, but I mean, just this season alone, Derek Ray, Ian Dark, Peter Drury, Lee Dixon again, Chris Wheatley, Charles Watts, James Gunnerbuck. Some of the guests that we've had, we just love them, and they've really been friends to the podcast. 39 other podcasters / bloggers. And this does not include the open mic shows that we're doing, but Danny and Elliot and tons of people who we've met through this podcast universe. 13 ex-Arsenal players, which is the part that just drives me absolutely crazy. To be able to pod with Kev, Alan Smith, Lee Dixon, Michael Thomas. Almost half of that team in Anfield '89 we've had conversations with, and then one absolute prick, cocksucker, motherfucker. And every podcast over its 262 episodes need to at least have 1 or 2 podcasts with a guy like that. So we've really covered the gamut of that, but in the style of the Oscars, a montage on our season 5 guests. It's kind of like the Who Have We Lost in season 5, except thankfully none of these people died. So I'm going to play a video. I forgot to tell you guys before the pod, but as soon as I start playing the video, the 3 of your mics are gonna unmute them, and the goal is that we talk over this and just say whatever the hell you want to say about the show.
This is gonna go so smooth.
just make sure to unmute your thing, and if anyone's old enough to know what Mystery Science Theater 3K is or MST 3K, That's kind of the goal for this montage here. So here we go with a montage of season 5 guests. It was tough to find music that didn't have copyrights on it because I don't want this whole podcast to go under. The beginning of season 5 with Jason Davies, we debuted our Patreon page, which shockingly no one has signed up for yet.
That's
nice picture, Gabby.
I'm having kids to see if I could try to sell them so I could afford the patronage. To be completely honest, I'm working on it right now.
Serge, great guy, man of the year for Gooners for the Leukemia Lymphoma Society. Chelsea fan, but that's okay. This was before his internet got bad. Charles Watts.
He's my favorite.
By far our highest watched show this season. I mean, it was ridiculous. Season debut with Smudge.
It's when I wrecked my relationship. I asked him, could have called him Uncle Smudge. Oh, who's that fat guy in the bottom left?
Holy crap, Owen.
Yeah.
Simon Cowell.
Don't call Mikey fat.
Stuart Robson. He doesn't do a ton of podcasts. I would love to talk to him again because he told it like it was. We went on this run right here where we had Robson, Watts, Collins, Clark, and then Mike Hers. I just ruined the whole thing.
Did you ever get that money back, Andy?
We didn't. I think this might be the debut of Owen as an actual host on the podcast.
Oh, look, it is. Jeez, that was that early.
Yeah, this is the first podcast I wasn't on,
and the last that you weren't on.
Highest rated one of the season. Tanner and Lee judges.
Okay. Guys, we got to address this. Do I look better with long hair or short hair?
No hair.
Going bald.
You can clearly see from this montage that Andy only shows up for the big dogs.
There's supposed to be music in the background, but anyway, Derek Ray, absolute pleasure to talk to Derek. Honestly, my favorite recurring guest on this podcast is James McNicholas.
Look how bored Andy looked there.
Here's Danny scratching the back of his head with a back of the head scratcher. Alan Smith surprised Ryan Rocastle, and Andy couldn't be arsed to have video on during this situation, but that was nice. Ola and Fergus joining me and Owen, and here's the debut of the Everyone Out shirt. I think this must be right before Boxing Day. There's Gooner Russ, whose daughter I just found out who his daughter was today, and I'd like to say hello. This was when I was ripping up all of the papers in front of Dave, and Andy says Mike had that second where he wasn't sure he could actually rip the paper up online, and was embarrassed, but it actually ripped. Goonerholic, man, that was a great show.
Yeah.
Hosting all of his family and friends. That was really, really special. Here's the show that Mike was talking about earlier this season.
That's me looking to the side because my wife probably had caught my attention. Like that's my side eye. Like, what are you saying, darling? I love you so much.
Here's you picking your nose, and here's you picking your mouth with Charles Watts again. 2 times in the Charles Watts situation.
I'm picking my nose right now, so don't cut the video.
Stephen Goff. This was about whether Mesut Ozil was joining.
Look at Danny.
Do we look? I mean, it's embarrassing how similar we look at this point. I don't know who it's embarrassing to, but Chris Wheatley joined us, told us some really fascinating things off air, right, Owen?
yeah, for sure. And here's the recipient of the best Wi-Fi connection.
Yeah, that was actually what this is live video right now. We're watching.
Holy crap, Wayne.
Wayne came on and Andy.
Man, this was I have to say, this was my favorite podcast of the entire season. It was, I don't know what it was. It was funny as fuck, man.
It's hilarious. If we want to come back to any of these, we can and we should, but
why is my thing frozen?
I was gonna say I thought Andy just left us about 30 minutes
ago.
So
I had to buy Avs tickets. They just went on sale for round 2. And so I had it on my calendar. It was like, fuck!
That's Lee Dixon's shirt that he literally wore at Anfield 89. He showed us the dirt on the back of it from Anfield 89. So very appropriate to be watching that today.
Andy, don't buy Avs tickets. Stop
Mike, this is when you went John Travolta. You went through this little phase.
Funding Kroenke.
Yeah, you can
You can actually look at the different hairstyles that I had all season today. It just goes from one to the other.
That's when we showed up in suits, Andy. Remember?
Mikey
That
goes
was
from bald
Fucking
to less
classy
bald.
shit, man. We were classy as fuck, and Mike just showed up and got probably that stupid T-shirt he made where it was a V-neck, and he still didn't. Remember that? That I know he showed it earlier, but I was buying Avs tickets for round 2, Mike.
Well, this was one of our first unintentional open mics. This is where Drago made his debut on our podcast, at least.
Yeah.
This is a second after I spit all my goddamn champagne out at the camera, and we'll play video of that. Oh, the traction we got on this. We'll talk about this after. That was something absolutely special.
No need for that, Mikey.
Well, this was a lot of
another
fun.
highlight as well.
These are always fun.
See, we're going to be doing this is what we do. We bring you this kind of stuff. This was the finances show when our annual report came out, and Mike Hers joined us on this one, but I just didn't show him because I don't care.
Also, I was literally in my work truck. So
yes, you were. You were in your Datsun. Max making his appearance with Tanner.
When his wife was birthing, remember that?
Yeah, his wife was having a baby like at the moment. Great chance. Oh, Andy's gone. Great chance to talk to Colin Lewin. Then we did. This was my birthday show, the big fat Greek wedding, ridiculous, stupid thing that we did, where I was drinking ouzo because we had just beat Olympiacos. Leith. We've already talked about Leith. Jared makes his
That's
not his debut.
That's Hertz's debut show.
That is Hertz's debut show. It was a good one.
Oh yeah. I like Jared. Can we swap Andy for Jared?
Damn.
Oh, you're still there? Shit.
Peter D, aka Peter Drury.
Some
What a
fucked
pleasure!
up shit.
What a pleasure to talk to Peter Drury. I mean,
Long hair for me, guys. I mean, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm in different stages of baldness and beard and goatee.
Different stages of pain.
Yeah. JJ Garcia, we will be seeing more of JJ. JJ is a very, very cool guy.
So this one, you changed Lee Judge's name 5 10 times, didn't you?
I might well have done that.
Positivity, toxic negativity.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because he kept going back
great people.
He showed all of his different cards in one
Damn
thing.
it.
Me and Jimmy. You're upset that I didn't show the part where you...
No, I was trying to get a screenshot of John's face from that one because he was so angry.
Here's your
hello, Coach James.
James' first appearance on a podcast with us was fantastic with Danny.
Why do you keep
Bailey.
going back to this Jared guy?
This is
every pod in order. This is every pod in order. This was my 8-hour red wine fest where even the chief got back in the action at 5 o'clock in the morning. That was a big mistake. Here's Owen from his car driving around Belfast.
Is that my dick or my finger?
Yes, it's both.
Jared keeps on getting on because he used to make Mikey sandwiches.
That's right. This was the inside the Gooners, inside the podcast studio with
that was a brilliant podcast, and I still can't believe I wasn't invited on.
Which we were invited to.
I know this is such BS, dude.
Well, there was supposed to be music.
Jakey Bowl Thursday.
Look, Rebecca Lowe, man, this was. That was an honor. The first part of that was on the Highbury Squad. The second part of that was on here. That was just a really, really fun time. And so that's season 5, people. I mean, that's
Gavin from Kent.
That's Gavin from Kent. We have a ton of people who watch this podcast from Kent. And they're all very generous because I'm seeing these Gooners versus Cancers donations coming through, and that's really the only other thing that I want to make sure we talk about before we finish off season 5 and start season 6 tomorrow morning. But Gooners versus Cancer is well on its way in season 2. The reason that we started it as early as we did, it normally kind of starts in late June, early July, is because of some opportunities we have to get it in front of a lot of people. But we're doing a special early bird thing for Gooners versus Cancer. If you go to goonersversuscancer.com or goonersvcancer.com, it'll take you to this webpage. And when you enter, you buy raffle tickets. The amount that you donate leads to the amount of raffle tickets you get. The more you donate, the more raffle tickets you get. It's kind of a buying in bulk type of situation. But not only will you get raffle tickets that you will be then asked to spend on various prizes. We've had team signed jerseys, player signed jerseys, first team women's jerseys, experiences, tickets, amazing tickets to games, drinks with Perry Groves. I mean, just the tons of stuff that will be in the auction in the raffle later this summer. You'll be entered in that. But what you get if you donate prior to the end of May is you get entry into an early bird drawing for this team signed kit from this year, which will be given out to anyone that donated prior to the 31st of May. And I should restate, I don't mean it's given out to everyone that donates. We're going to pick one winner from the people that donate, and then another 5 winners of some good artwork from Ruth Beck's Art at Ruth Beck's Art on Twitter. And just wanted to say, I mean, we're already in less than a week, we're at $1,700 raised. The goal and to meet last season was 21,000. I'm hoping to absolutely smash through that, but we're to be 8% of that way through with only 1 week of fundraising is fantastic. Thank you to those who have donated. Gandermonium are our friends from Sutton United. They've put in a shout for us. Daniel Robert, Steve-O, Melvin, Gavin, Steve, Demsek. I'm just naming people who we know. Mark McRiden, Sebi, Connor, who won a Lee Dixon kit last year. Taylor, MK, Liebman, Ramon, Jessica, Jeffrey, Lori, Jared. I mean, just these are friends of ours. And then there's a lot of people who we don't know who are just giving to a great cause. And so that's awesome. And there's really big things coming this year. We're trying to make this into a massively bigger charity and raise money for the Leukemia Lymphoma Society, which is a cause very near and dear to me. So that's my bit about Gooners versus Cancer. I also want to thank Sebi for these amazing. I mean, I could probably learn how to do a Photoshop. I mean, apps supposedly make things easy, but that would take away all the fun of being able to like go to Sebi and say, "Can you please put my face into this picture?" So this is the handiwork of Sebi. This is the handiwork of Sebi. This is the handiwork of Sebi.
Oh, Donald Duck.
Don't go asking him to do things. He's ours, and he's his, and he's Mike's, and we love him. And if he would ever take a day off of work, we'd have him on the podcast because I friggin' love that guy. And I think we need to also say thank you to Ben Wiley. Ben's a mate of ours that I've met through the away days chat on WhatsApp, which is just it's a ridiculous, stupid, hilarious, fun, enriching, absurd WhatsApp group that has given me so many of these relationships that I have. And Ben is someone who I just met within the last year. He's been doing all of our thumbnails, all the preview shows, the things you see when you go to Facebook, and he's been giving generously of himself with absolutely no compensation, with very little effective advertising. We do what we can, but we are who we are. And I just want to thank him for everything that he's done. He's been absolutely fantastic. Anybody else that you guys want to thank while we're on it, or if you want to bring up any of those guests that we had? I mean, they were going by pretty much every 7 seconds, so we didn't have a lot of time. But any other reminiscing?
No, there's something else there that I was actually supposed to say this day off air as well, but might as well bring it up now. Something that I'm going to stick up for raffle as well is, I don't know if you've seen it. I'll go and grab it while somebody else is talking, but I'm going to stick up my hand-painted Thierry Henry canvas for raffle. It was.
I thought you were going to say the Lee Dixon jersey. I was about to kill you.
No, not a chance. Not a chance.
I'll get another one of those. You keep that.
It's an original hand-painted Thierry Henry canvas, and it was painted by my auntie. So I'm going to stick that up. It's a really good piece. So I'll grab it while one of you are talking, and I can give it a little flash on camera. I have it in the background sometimes, but I'd rather have your nan flash on camera than to flash something that she painted. But no, not my nan, my auntie.
Oh, auntie, sorry.
I can get my nan. She's in pretty bad shape. God love her.
I've already gotten your nan, so it's okay. Did Willian sign a shirt? No, but Rich, by the way, winning a Willian shirt in the middle of the season when I just got so fucking sick of the guy that I made the stupid comment that I would buy someone who follows, retweets, and whatever. I mean, like I gave like a bunch of easy stuff to do, and I said, anyone who does this, if Willian scores or gets an assist and we win, you get a shirt. Well, that game he had a worldie, and we won, and so he got a shirt. And I'm happy to do that kind of stuff. You know, look, if I got to pay for our team to do well, I will do it, and you guys can all thank me for that. But Mikey, anything else you want to add?
We could all thank you for that. Yes.
Yeah, you can thank me for that. I mean, I will take appointments for people to come and thank me for that. So now that is fantastic, man. Your
that
auntie
might just be right here. I might put that here.
Yeah, she's the one who also painted. You see it behind, well, more so in my old house. It's in front of me now, but the giraffes that I have displayed up, she painted them too. So it's all good standard stuff.
Does she paint like genitalia?
She probably can upon request, yes, but
it won't take much effort.
Just a stroke,
and it won't take much paint.
That's a great stroke.
just a stroke. Sons of bitches. You know, we need to do this more often because the four of us. I mean, like literally, we've been like ships passing at night, and
we're not seeing Andy until September. So
I know that's the case, but the goal of our podcast is to be a guest centric pod, to try to do things a little bit different, to come up with concepts, to not have it be just this panel show that's breaking the games down all the time. Although we do that sometimes, and we love doing that, but sometimes it's just got to be the four of us. You know, I mean, who needs Martin Tyler on the podcast, right? I mean, who needs David Seaman or Cesc Fabregas on the podcast when you've got the four of us?
Mm-hmm.
So,
some absolute great human beings that I've seen on this podcast, and a few of them I've been able to talk to was Ryan.
Nice shout out. He's been a revelation, man. Like I was so desperate to connect with the Rocastle family, because of the timing of the things, and Ryan just like made himself. I mean, not only was like, I'll join you guys, but like he's a friend now for all of us.
I had to give him a shout. Like I had the opportunity to be on 2 pods with him so far, and he's been just humble, kind, just a great dude. So it was an absolute pleasure to talk to him, and I'll add Jared. I know Owen, give him a shout a little earlier, who he still doesn't know that Mikey and I are going to crash his wedding. That's upcoming pretty soon. But Jared,
I'm coming to that too. When is it?
Yeah, whenever we show up. I don't know.
The wedding occurs when Owen, Mike, and I show up. It doesn't. We're not showing up when the wedding occurs. The wedding occurs when we show up.
Yeah, so I'm gonna add Jared and Ryan into the Sweetheart Award, if you will, to tap onto the things that Owen had said. They were incredibly just generally nice human beings, and that's rare and far in between on the socials, that you have to kind of like really search for them. And the fact that I've been in contact with some really awesome human beings, and it's just been an absolute pleasure. So this whole podcasting thing has provided me with some links with some awesome people. And Owen, of course. So you get the good ones and the bad ones. Vivek, my friend Vivek, who I spent 90 minutes drinking many beers with at the San Jose Earthquake games this past weekend, and then he very nicely welcomed me back to Jack's Bar here in San Jose, where I have not been for.
You had not been to Jack's?
I had been there once.
I've been to Jack's. You gotta go.
I know. I've gone there. Check this out. So they do really.
Imagine a guy in San Jose who does a podcast and has never been to Jack's before, or not recently.
So
imagine.
I had gone once, and it was super. It was a really early game, so the back patio wasn't open. So when I arrived, I thought that was it. And for those of you that don't know, it's a really small pub, just has a few seats. And there was like 20 of us, and there was like people like outside, and I'm like, I don't really like this vibe so much. And I'm at the San Jose Earthquake game with Vivek, and he goes, "Come on through." And I'm like, "You think there'll be seating?" And he's like, "Oh, the back patio will be open." And I'm like, What are you talking about, back patio? And he's like, "It's huge, waka waka." And I show up, and it's a beautiful place, and I'm really looking forward to hanging out with more Gooners live there. And I'm assuming Mike's camera either froze or he literally fell asleep talking about me, hearing me talk about me and Vivek's new friendship. Mike, I'm sorry that I bore you so much, Mike. Jeez.
No, I'm here.
Speaking of,
Am I lagging?
Not anymore. Speaking of new friendships,
Not anymore.
Speaking of new friendships, I have one part of this season which was really weird because I would say that I'm quite confident in terms of coming on and talking to people but I don't really get fazed by too much, to be honest, not in an assy way or being up myself or anything like that, but I don't really get like starstruck by anybody or anything like that. But what was a really fucked up moment for me was I've obviously been an Arsenal fan my whole life. My dad was a massive Arsenal fan. My granddad was a huge Arsenal fan as well. And prior to sort of midway through last season, I was never involved in this world at all, and it's all taken off relatively quick. But before podcasts, I would come on a lot of the time, and you know this, Mike, is that I come on maybe 15 minutes before the show starts, get myself backstage, relax, go over some of my notes and stuff like that. But it was the podcast with Lee Dixon, and I said to myself, I was relatively nervous for that one because it was my first real big guest, and I was on about 15 minutes before I came in, and I says, right, okay, I'll get myself settled, I'll talk to Mike, I'll get eased in, and Mike didn't show up, but Lee Dixon did 15 minutes before the podcast started, and I was sat backstage with Lee Dixon being like, oh shit, how the fuck.
That was your hazing ritual. I was like, you know what, Lee, I mean, you know, I can't take any more of his shit. So I'm just going to get here right when the podcast starts, and Owen can babysit him for a few minutes.
But man, you talk about, like, we always talk about like Arsenal players of that generation and Kevin Campbell, what he's doing for the relationship between the players and fans and stuff. But man, Lee Dixon is such a genuine guy. Like, you see the way that he gets on podcast. He was like that in a 1v1 conversation with me backstage and was so genuinely interested in all the stories I had to tell and topics we were discussing pre-pod. So it's mental to go from sitting in the pub with a few local fans and you think that's as far as your horizon's ever going to expand, to coming on this here and getting to rub shoulders with some of the club's greats. So it's a bit crazy.
That's a amazingly contrasting story to the fact that I don't know if people know this, but when I hop on this pod and with just Owen and Andy and Mike hasn't showed up, Owen just tells me to shut up. He just mutes me and he says I'm not allowed to talk to him until the actual talent is on the pod. So I'm glad you know Lee is way more welcoming.
You need to have like a delineation between talent and non-talent, and so you know Lee gets a pass. I'm sorry, you know. I mean, no, it's been great. And again, this whole thing wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for Danny. But like, just we've gotten quite a little bit of like a Rolodex going here with people who, for some reason or another, I mean, I don't know why, they actually rate us and enjoy being on the air with us. So tell your friends. Goonersubscribe.com is how they can subscribe to the podcast. We'd always love a bigger audience, but we're not going to live or die over it because this is a hobby for us, and we just, you know, what's special about it for me, and I won't speak for everybody, is just the connection that it keeps. And in the last year and a half, to have this connection with London, with Arsenal, with people in London, with people in Bulgaria, with people in Jamaica, with people everywhere, and just have that kind of thing that normally involves personal interaction, and have it just be available online through people just enjoying each other's companies. That's what it's all about. And, you know, while I want the team to win, and while I wake up every weekend in the morning stressing about our game and wanting us to win and being upset when we don't, it's these relationships that pull me off of that sometimes and say, you know what, we've had a shit year, and you know, but yet I still have incrementally, you know, infinitely more people that I can consider friends than when we started. Dublin Gooner says, if you want a bigger audience, I can put on some weight. That's been my strategy the whole time. I mean, you were talking about special effects before. You guys don't realize this, but I've been wearing a fat suit for the last 5 years. I'm actually 10 stone, And what I'm going to do for season 6 is I'm going to take that off. I'm going to peel off the makeup and the stuff, and you're gonna be amazed at what you see. It's going to be like these pictures, which I don't know why these pictures are in black and white, because it just gets Mike's narrative going. But this kind of thing.
You old AF.
This is this was in 1961. I was in the photography lab at the American School of London developing my live picture of Birdie me. And then this is my spring soccer team where I was generously allowed to be within 5 feet of Gab Marcotti, my teammate. But I don't know. We're just kind of rambling at this point, but it's been a fun season. We're going to start with season 6 real soon, because over the summer we don't go away. We start doing shows like inside the podcaster studio. We do FA Cups of football phrases. We do all kinds of shit.
It's also silly season transfer.
It is. It is, and you will have my full concentration this summer, because I am not doubling as a rodent this summer. I'm just going to be Mike. I'm not going to be the gerbil. That was exhausting.
I'll be on when you guys have Charles Watts on, and I could do what his live chat does. So every day I tune into Charles Watts' little 15-20 minute videos, and every time he has it's transfer season, they must ask him about Bissouma and Buendia about 10 to 15 times. And then for some reason, the fan base...
It would be so good if you did that in real life form.
Yeah, if I'm
never
on, yeah. Transfer season's going to be over. I'm going to ask him. I'm like, hey, so transfer news real quick. I'm like, what? I'm going to ask him, what happened with the Jack Grealish links? Whatever happened to that? Because
let's change the subject of things that you're used to talking about, and let's talk about transfers. I think you need to ask him about this. That's my favorite thing about him right there.
I love Charles, dude. We have some world class journalists linked with the Arsenal, and as Vivek pointed out, we also got the gerbil, which is information is second to none. Yeah,
but the gerbil retired. He's on a beach. He's porking other gerbil. He's porking other gerbils.
The gerbil threatened me last night, actually on my own podcast. So I'm worried now.
Gerbil threatened. I don't know. In your old age, sometimes you can get very, very violent.
Yo, Gold Cup content right here. I'll be your Hispanic news reporter.
Mike, you know how there's a show here in the U.S. called The Daily Show. It's a very famed show. It's been hosted by 3 different people over 30 different years. For one point they had here's our senior black correspondent, here's our senior Jewish correspondent. It was always our senior whatever correspondent had to do with the story.
Okay.
So Mike could be our senior Gold Cup correspondent. And that content, we'll negotiate whether that content appears on our podcast. And by ours, I mean all of ours, or your podcast. Moment of the season, I think we have to give it. Look, I was just a bit part in this. Owen is the real specialty here. The reaction on his face was made this season special for me. So we'll just play this right now, and I don't think that we'll get a copyright strike over this, but this was the moment of the season for us. I don't know why that sounded like we're in an arcade, but
I know that was
the context. The context has to be applied for why it was. I had so many warnings before that, because people might not know this, but when we have people on, I joke with Mike about sort of sensitive subjects that could be possibly brought up, and I often say, is it okay to ask him this question while putting a really stupidly, obviously that's
we can talk about it more openly because we're not casting aspersions. So because I edited the 2 people off the bottom off of that, but you can tell the full story if you want.
Yeah, well, it's obviously it was the one with Tom and Chig, and obviously Chig had been grabbing headlines for some extracurricular activities whilst on a podcast, and whether that
which did not happen.
No, it didn't. Of course,
we're here to say that it didn't happen.
It didn't, but I said
Mike could confirm that somehow.
But I was joking with Mike, and it's funny because I'd never met Chig or talked to him, and he's genuinely a really nice dude. I got on so well with him. But I was saying to Mike in the WhatsApp group, I was saying, can I ask him, was he genuinely jerking it during that? But he's like, of course you fucking can't ask the guy that. Don't be so stupid. And he really warned me off the whole time. And Mike straight away was the one to drop it in.
You said something about how Tom had his pen out, and I said, well, that's not the only thing starting with PEN that he has out. And then I was like, oh shit, I didn't even mean to go there. And of course I take a sip of my champagne at that moment, and you end up getting this, but the reaction though from fucking it's like a cascading like realization that I've just done what I've done.
Can I add another moment of the season as well? Even though we don't have the clips, and some of the people here might not listen to the show, but the show that yourself, Andy, and I did on the Gooner Talk with Tom.
I was going to bring that up, dude. It was brilliant.
And we had the prepared game that we would play. Called,
that was prepared like 3 weeks in advance. We talked about that
at the end of the day, and essentially for anybody that wasn't listening, what we had to do was include the sentence at the end of the day as many times as feasibly possible throughout the podcast, and the person who had said it the most by the end would win. But man, I lost my fucking shit halfway through.
You gave up. You were such a puss. I mean, you gave up after like 10 minutes, man. You tried it a couple of times.
I couldn't even speak.
He killed the camera. Comes back. Oh, sorry, my allergies were just insane. I was watching and I couldn't figure out what was going on. And I see Owen throughout the whole pod just losing his shit. And Tom at the end was 10 minutes.
10 minutes into that podcast, 10 minutes into that podcast, David Ziegler was in the chat saying, like, I think there's a game going on here with the end of the day. Like I just let it go because I'm like, you would be the only person that realizes that he's like, that's his kind of like, that's his perfect kind of comedy. So I wasn't surprised he picked up on it, but like the fact that Tom didn't pick up on it,
I was so surprised.
And at the end, Tom was like, "Hey guys, you guys were really professional, really odd. I didn't know that was happened." And then Mike like, okay, with that being said, and then he breaks the news that he tells Andy what's the final count, and he starts tallying up all the points.
I was so poor. And Yo-Yo hit the nail on the head. He says, I remember that pod, Owen should have held out longer, and I should have.
That's what his wife says all the time.
Yeah. I should have had a prep wank. That's normally my approach.
Well, look, you guys are newer podcasters. You'll learn about proper preparation when the time comes. I mean, but that was funny. And that was Andy's idea. But then I'm like, no, we're actually really doing this, and I'm gonna keep score. And by the end of it, Andy and I were basically interrupting each other to get that shit in as much as possible. Well, it's been a fun season. Everything other than actual.
It's been a fun podcasting season, not football.
It has. But we're not going anywhere. Season 6 begins very soon. Just so you know, we normally do 40 to 45 podcasts a season. We did 79 this season, and that's a tribute to you, Owen, to you, Mike, to the fun. These open mic pods. I dread doing them. And then the moment they start, I have more fun than anything, because I dread doing them because I don't know if anyone's going to show up. But then when we're actually on the pod and there's we're switching back and forth between people, that's my proudest thing of this season, was starting those open mic pods. So we're going to do it. We'll do it over the summer. We just want to interact. That's all we want to do. We want to interact. We want to be able to put faces with names and increase the Gooner family. So we're going to definitely do that this summer. So hold on for that and some interesting announcements that are to come. And I don't think I've said this yet. If I have, tell me. But a very special event, a very special announcement coming very soon, including it involves Arsenal. It's here in the U.S. It involves Gooners. getting together physically in person to have an amazing time together 6 months before the next Gooner Gras. It's in Las Vegas. I wasn't supposed to say that. Okay.
They've already said that in other podcasts, though.
Well, it's going to. No, I've said that in private. I haven't said that on other podcasts, but
no,
Ray,
somebody else in another podcast that's going to be there has been like literally saying that. FYI,
okay.
Yeah,
okay,
and that's all you Manscaped for your hair.
Does he have shit internet?
Yeah, shit internet. Yes.
Okay. Well, he should be talking about it because he's basically coordinating it. But announcement coming very soon. It's going to be an amazing Gooner get together. It's going to be this third week of August. So keep your calendars open. It's going to involve the podcast. It's going to involve other podcasts. It's going to involve Gooners versus Cancer. It's going to involve some famous people, some fun events, and honestly, it's going to be like the way to break out of this COVID thing and just absolutely enjoy time with your Gooner family. And last but not least, please don't forget Gooners versus Cancer. You can go to goonersvscancer.com or goonersvcancer.com. Donate by the end of the month, and you have a very, very good chance of winning a team signed shirt where I'm going to have Willion's signature like removed from it to make it more valuable. Other than that, I think it's a pretty valuable item. So is that all we got for today? Anybody else want to, as long as we're rambling?
No, that's us, buddy. That's us. It's been a pleasure. Again, shite season on the pitch, great season off the pitch.
Yes,
that's what you need.
Totally agree with that. Yeah. Mikey, as always, thank you for being so welcoming. He kind of roped me in even deeper into the socials and meeting Arsenal fans, and you've been very kind, sir, ever since that fateful night where we attended a jazz concert, and it was
jazz concert.
It was that's what I'm calling it. So, yeah, I mean, that's all, man. Thank you very much, dude. Appreciate it.
Hey. Look, I love it, and I love you guys, and I wish Andy hadn't left. But to get 2 hours out of Andy is like, I mean, how much does that cost? So yeah, we'll finish up, but I think we're gonna finish off season 5 with something very near and dear to my heart, which is
I love you, Zamir.
My son taking a shit with a Tottenham ball because once again they won fuck all. So come on, you Gooners.
What do you think of Tottenham?